Guten Tag, Deutschlerner. My name is Madison and I am a German student at Emory University in Atlanta. This tutorial will discuss the differences between two German words, hätte and hatte. How do these very similar words convey different ideas and thoughts? And how do we know when to use hätte or hatte to convey different ideas? This tutorial will discuss several approaches to explaining how these words are used. We'll talk about both German grammar cases and functionality, and do some practice as well. By the end of this video, you should be able to answer questions like this. Which of the following words correctly fits in the following sentence? Wenn ich mehr Zeit hätte or hatte, könnte ich meine Hausaufgaben fertig machen. Let's check out some examples to see how these words are used. Wenn ich mehr Geld hätte translates to if I had more money in the present right now. But without an umlaut, wenn ich mehr Geld hatte translates to whenever I had more money, back some time in the past. Despite how similar these words appear, their usage and meaning is quite different. That's the power of the umlaut. Both hätte and hatte come from the verb haben, meaning to have. In the present tense, haben is easily conjugated and follows the standard conjugation for strong verbs. Hatte is the simple past or Präteritum form of haben. For example, ich hatte einen Ball means I had a ball. It can also be used with another past participle to create the past perfect or plusquamperfekt, to describe something that occurred earlier than the time being considered, when the time being considered is already in the past. For example, ich hatte einen Ball geworfen, I had thrown the ball. Hätte, meanwhile, is the present tense subjunctive to form of haben. Subjunctive to is used to express as if or wishful or hypothetical notions. Hätte is conjugated the same way as in the simple past, with an added a umlaut, and can translate to would have, as in, ich hätte mehr Zeit, wenn ich nicht so viel Hausaufgaben hätte. I would have more time if I would not have so much homework. Hätte is also used to form the past tense subjunctive to of verbs that use haben as the auxiliary or helping verb in the present perfect tense. For example, the present perfect of essen is hat gegessen, and the past subjunctive to of essen is hätte gegessen, which translates to would have eaten. Hätte is also used to form the past tense subjunctive to of verbs used with a modal verb. In this situation, the presence of the modal verb creates the unusual double infinitive construction, where both the main verb and the modal verb are in the infinitive, and hätte serves as the helping verb. For example, ich habe kommen können translates to I was able to come, and I did. Whereas ich hätte kommen können translates to I could have come, but I didn't. Note that the subjunctive is not a verb tense, but rather a mood, and we will discuss that more in a second. I want to quickly mention the pronunciation difference between these words as well. The A in hatte makes the ah sound, kind of like the sound that your doctor asks you to make when she looks at your throat. Meanwhile, the A umlaut in hätte is very close to the sound in get or bed. Sometimes it's easier to understand the differences in these words by examining how they create meaning in different ways. One way we can do this is through a discussion of the German moods. German has 4 moods: the indicative, imperative, interrogative, and subjunctive. But we're just going to talk about the indicative and subjunctive too in this tutorial. In the case of hatte and hätte, their different meanings are affected by the fact that they're expressed in these different moods. Hatte is in the indicative mood, the mood used to make factual statements, and is the simple past form of haben. In other words, hatte is used to make a factual statement about the past. When you use hatte, you are indicating that the action actually happened. Gestern hatte ich Spaß. Yesterday I had fun. It actually happened and I really did have fun. Versus, wenn ich mehr Geld hatte, ginge ich ins Kino, translates to, whenever I had more money, I went to the movies. As in, there were occasions in the past when I had more money, and in those cases I went to the movies, and those events actually happened. Hätte, meanwhile, is in the subjunctive mood, the mood used to express things that didn't actually happen or would happen only if certain conditions were met. In other words, events that are contrary to fact, wishful, or hypothetical. We can use hätte to express things happening in the present. Take this sentence for example. Wenn ich mehr Geld hätte, würde ich ins Kino gehen. Translates to, if I had more money right now, I would go to the movies. In other words, I don't have more money, so I most likely will not be going to the movies. We can also express past events with hätte. In the sentence, wenn ich nur mehr gelernt hätte, that translates to, if only I had studied more. In other words, I didn't study enough, and I'm regretting that decision now. To recap, in the indicative, hatte is the simple past form of haben, and is used to express a factual event in the past. It can also be used with a past participle to create the plusquamperfekt, or past perfect, to express something that occurred in the more distant past. Hätte is the subjunctive to mood form, and is used to express wishes and as-if statements. It can be translated as would have, and can also be used with the past participle or the double infinitive construction to say something like would have eaten or could have eaten. Now let's do some practice. Select the correct word for the sentence, hätte or hatte. This sentence expresses a wish or a hypothetical as-if situation. I didn't receive a cent for every time you didn't do your homework, and I am therefore not very rich. Therefore, you know it must be subjunctive to, and that the correct answer is hätte. Now try this one. Here we are speaking in the past tense about something my brother used to have. He really did have a dirty apartment. Note also that this is an example of the simple past rather than the past perfect. Therefore, the answer is hatte. Give this one a try. Which word is correct? Here we are again speaking in the past tense about a real actual conversation between a boy and his father, so hatten is correct. This sentence uses hatten with another past participle to say had talked. Try this last practice question. This sentence discusses how something could have happened but didn't, so hätte is correct. In other words, the decision reached was not made in the last hours, rather it took much longer than needed. Also note that the infinitive verbs kommen and können are used along with hätten to say could have come to a decision. Now see if you can complete this short quiz. These sentences are a little tricky, but they're from actual German texts that I found through the dwds.de corpus website, so give them your very best shot. Try to fill in the gaps in these next few translations. Here's the first one. I would have liked it if he would have explained the situation to me, but he had talked himself empty. The first two clauses talk about a hypothetical as-if situation. She would have liked it if he had explained, as in he actually did not explain it. So both of these phrases need the subjunctive hätte. The last sentence described what actually had happened, so hatte is correct here. Try this next one. I had the urge to write about my loss, to process what I would have told my friends had I had any in Cologne. The first clause talks about how she had this real actual urge in the past, so hatte is correct. Whereas the last two clauses talk about a hypothetical situation, what she would have told her friends had she had any in Cologne. As in, she didn't tell her friends anything, and she didn't have any friends in Cologne, so hätte, the subjunctive, is correct. Try this last one. They had once sworn to one another to be honorable, to not let the sword rest until they had saved freedom, faith, and homeland. What grandiose dreams they had dreamed with each other. The first clause talks about their promise to one another in the past tense, a real promise that they made to each other, so hatten is correct. Next, they express the hypothetical situation of never resting until these ideals had been saved, so hätten is correct here. Finally, the last clause reflects back and talks about how they had such high dreams, a simple past tense construction, and hatten is the correct word. There was a lot of information in this video, so feel free to watch it as many times as you need to understand the differences among these words. More German grammar tutorials by Emory students are available at the link below, and those super hard examples that I used in my practice and quiz questions, were found through the dwds.de website, an online German corpus. Thank you for watching, und vielleicht hätten Sie nie gedacht, dass Sie diese Konzepte verstehen könnten, aber doch, Sie können es. Vielen Dank und viel Glück!
Created using Powtoon.